All right. Do you guys? So we're doing PrepTest 75, Game 3. It's about librarians.
Yeah, I think I did this one while studying on my own, like a while
Okay.
back. I struggled.
Sounds good.
I put like needs review. I don't even think I answered these.
Fair, fair. Yeah, we can go this one. So let me pull up my whiteboard. But do one of you all want to read the stimulus and then we can go from there?
Yeah, I could read it.
Yeah, go ahead and read the stimulus.
So 7 librarians, Flynn, Gomez, Hill, Kilston, Ling, Moore, and Zane are being scheduled for desk duty for 1 week, Monday through Saturday. The librarians will be on duty exactly 1 day each. On each day except Saturday, there will be exactly 1 librarian on duty, with 2 on duty on Saturday, subject to the following constraints. H must be on desk duty earlier in the week than L. Both H and M must be on desk duty earlier in the week than G. F must be on desk duty earlier in the week than both K and M. K must be on desk duty earlier in the week than Z. Unless L is on desk duty on Saturday, L must be on desk duty earlier in the week than F.
Yeah. So does anybody I'm gonna give you all a couple minutes, kind of like I normally do, where you can go through the game yourself. And then from there I will limit if you have any questions about diagrams. So just kind of diagram it yourself, and then we'll go from there if that works. And if you have any questions while you're diagramming, please let me know. All right, how are we all looking on, like, I know Thomas might be a little behind, but how are we looking at diagramming, Josh and Sabrina?
I think pretty good. Like what I'm doing is on the top, I'm crossing out what cannot be there.
Mhm.
And then I'm putting variables that could be on the days.
Yeah.
By the rules.
Yeah, that's what I kind of did. I'll share my screen to kind of go over that. All right. Okay. So hang on, it's loading. All right, can everyone see my diagram?
Yeah.
Okay. So first thing, as always, we do FGH, KLMZ at the top left, right? And from here we do, so this one's a little interesting because instead of doing like 7 in a row, it has MTW. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we know there's gonna be 2 on Saturday, so I do S with 2 next to it, right? That way I know there's gonna be 2 in this spot, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I marked it. You can also do S1, S2, but I didn't do S1, S2 because then I knew that kind of looks like they're in order and one could be an S1. So I just made S2 and I'm gonna put 2 in that block. Does that make sense to everybody? Kind of how I did the first thing and then the set up the diagram?
Yeah.
Is
I
that
kind
how
of did I kind of did the same thing. Well, very similar actually.
Okay. Well, let's go through the rules then. So rule 1 says H must be on desk duty earlier in the week than L, right? So this would be one of those ones with a giant chain and kind of go over the bottom. So we know we have H before L, right? Then we know H and M have to come before G according to rule 2, right?
Mhm.
Then we know F has to come before K and M. We know K has to come before Z. And then if L doesn't equal Saturday, then L has to be before F. Does that make sense?
Was isn't it unless L? Oh wait.
It's unless
Oh wait, never
L
mind.
is on desk duty on Saturday. So if L doesn't equal Saturday, is how I read that. It must be before F, right? Because if L is on Saturday anyways, then they can come after it. So it's just basically letting L equal Saturday.
Okay.
Did everybody diagram the rules that way or something similar?
Yeah, I just fixed the equal sign to not equal. I read that wrong.
Yeah, because if L equals S, then L can't come before F, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, now I'm going to move on to my thing down here. So, this like chain down here. But this thing over here, right? So I drew this to kind of connect everything to make these deductions way faster. I would recommend doing a chain like this when you see they're both like, as soon as I saw, okay, F, K, M, well, M's in both of these and K's in the rule 3 and 4, then H in these. So I know everything connects almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know in every case that I know F is going to come before M and K, right? So that's what I have here. And then I know K is going to come before Z, right?
Yeah.
And I know M is going to come before G. So I know in every case that F is going to come before G and Z as well, right?
Yeah.
And then I connected H to L and G this way. It makes sense. So H comes before L, and H also comes before G.
And would that make it just faster in general?
So this,
Or
this
yeah, like that like was that like kind of like mandatory in a way to increase your time?
I think it will because you have better understanding. It's not. It takes time, but it increases your understanding of the game and the rules.
Okay.
So from here, I see there are only 3 variables that could be last, right?
Yeah.
Because I have nothing that I know there's 7 total variables, right? So there's only 3 variables that can come last, and in that last spot, I know we're gonna have 2 things, right? So that's a huge piece of information, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
I know no matter what, G, L, or Z are gonna come last because there's 2 of those 3 are gonna come last. That really helps me. And in this first spot, I know that F and H are the only variables that can come first because they're on the farthest left side, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So as soon as I know that, that also really helps me kind of understand the game. So really quickly, I didn't do all the deductions because there's a lot of them I didn't want to get too messy. But I recognized pretty quickly that, okay, F has to have 4 things behind it, right? So F can either come first or second, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thomas, how you doing? Do you following along to kind of
I was able to figure out the your deductions at the very beginning with F and H at the start and G, L, and Z at the end, but
Okay.
I'm still kind of doing the mental math for what you just said.
Yeah, so if you look at this diagram, right, we know M, G, K, and Z all have to come after F, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've actually never done one of the relative grouping,
Yeah.
relative ordering diagrams.
Yeah, so it's kind of what I like to do just because it kind of makes it easier. But from here, even just looking at these rules, I know, okay, I have F, K, and M, I know Z. So I know that, okay, no matter what, F has 4 things after it, right? So F can't, and because there's only 4 days, right? F can't come here because it has to have 4 things after it. F can't come here because it has to have 4 things after it, right? And F, I guess F could, let's see, it's the next day. I guess it could come here Wednesday, right? I don't know why I said I couldn't, but yeah. So F could come Wednesday actually, but that's kind of how it would work, right? Does that make sense how we got there?
I see what you mean. Because, like, for example, F has to be before K and K has to be before Z, and so on.
And M has to be before G. Yeah, exactly. So, yep. All right. So, do we understand this basic setup and deductions? Does anyone have any questions on this?
No, I
So
understand.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Josh.
So I did do the chain, but how does that count for the last rule?
I didn't put that in there because it was an if rule.
Okay.
So that does that make sense? So like, I didn't account for that because look, it's like now that I know G, L, Z are here, right?
Right.
I know there's one option where L isn't Saturday, right?
Right.
So I know there's one option where L isn't Saturday. I know G, Z, and I can build a chain to the side where I know then, right? That I'd have to have LF and then that entire block, right? So L can only be Saturday or Monday or Tuesday, right?
Mhm.
Or actually
Right.
wait, no, but then L's here. So I guess L can't be Monday, right? So it have to be H. So as soon as we know GZ is here, we know L has to be Tuesday, right?
HLF, right?
Because H has to come before L, and F has to come, or L has to come before F, and the latest F can come is Wednesday. So an easy game you can build right here actually is this one, right?
Okay.
Where I know, I guess MK can flip around here, right? But you could have MK. So that's one where if you know L is not Saturday, this is the only option you have. So I guess it's kind of good for like understanding, but not necessarily something I built into my initial chain because it's an if rule.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
No problem. All right, any other questions? If not, I'll give you all a couple minutes to do the first one and we'll go from there. Does anybody want to explain their answer and how they got there?
Well, I picked A and I didn't graph it because I just followed the rules that we already, like the deductions and what could be in what. So off the bat, I'm looking for, well, first actually I took off D because K cannot be last because you need
Yeah.
Z after it. And then and M as well. And then I went down and then I just saw on the rules like HMG, like that's like the order how they should go on
Yep.
rule 2. So I kind of went down the line. I put which one didn't have it. So yeah, I kind of just went down the line with all the rules.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. So kind of what I did is okay, I know rule 1, right? Rule 1 eliminates E. Because let's see, sorry. Rule 1 eliminates E because E has L first, right? And H was coming before L. Rule 2 didn't actually eliminate anything for me because I guess I probably should have, but rule 2 was H and M before G. So it's not necessarily HMG actually. It's just H and M have to come before G. So rule 2 didn't eliminate anything for me.
Oh, like
Perfect.
it's because I know that on HMG, which one is it? On B, because it has MHG.
But
Oh
there's
wait,
a
no, wait. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
hold on. How did I
Yep.
do that? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, that was just a mistake then. But I put A.
All right, yeah, fair. But yeah, just watch out for those as far as like M and H just had to come before G. So I didn't eliminate anything with rule 2. Rule 3, I eliminated C because basically F has to come before K. And that doesn't happen in this scenario. Rule 4, I eliminated D because K must come before Z and K is last here. And then rule 5 eliminated B because let's see. Rule 5 had if L is not last, then it has to be first. Essentially, that's what rule 5 is doing, right? Any questions on how we got to A at this point?
No.
So just for a general tip on this one, I guess Sabrina, a little I wouldn't look at my deductions actually at all. They help me, yes. But sometimes you miss the deductions, this helps you make those deductions, right? So
Mhm.
I would just go straight rule 1, kind of what I did, what I do here, what I do for every graph rule, right? I write down, okay, I have 5 rules, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which rule eliminates which answer? And I start with 1. I go through all the ones, eliminate E, 2, all through ones, 3. Like in that order, that way you don't get lost, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I guess that's where I kind of mixed up. But
Yeah.
I guess because I did it all in my head when I was like deducting, I was at the same time like crossing them off. So I think I
Yeah.
deducted like correctly, but yeah, I get it.
Sounds good. All right, let's go to question. Thomas, you following along, or you haven't done one of these yet?
No, I I understood the explanation.
Sounds good. All right, let's go to number 13. Which one of the following cannot be on desk duty on Tuesday? So I'll give you all a couple minutes. A couple minutes for this one. We'll go from there. All right. So for this one, we're looking at which one can't be Tuesday, right? And we know Tuesday is the second day of the week, right?
Yeah.
So really, what you're looking for is I'm looking for at this chain, right? I'm saying, okay, which one has 2 things come before it, right? So if I know whatever can't be Tuesday, right? So if I know, let's say Z, right? Or let's say G, we put G at Tuesday. Well, I know F and M have to come before it, so G can't be Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with Z, where Z has to have F and K before it, so it can't be on that Tuesday. Do you see how that is, Thomas?
Right, yeah, I forgot about the little Z diagram with FKZ.
Yeah. So I think kind of recognizing that. Also, that's a deduction you can make at the beginning too. So as I tell people to do that is as far as like as being make as many deductions as possible because they probably will ask a question like this. So as being I see FKZ is a block thing, right? So no K has to be at least Wednesday and on, right? I know G has to be at least Wednesday and on. So I just think kind of knowing that is very helpful. But then here it's kind of reverse logic, right? I know F can't be Friday, right? Because it has to have M and G after it. I also know, like, I know kind of like the same thing. Like, I know H can't be Friday. Let's put that one. That's a better example. H can't be Friday. You know why? Because L and G have to come after it. Well, I guess, right. Never mind. Scratch that because there's two things on Saturday. So this is a little. This one's a little more challenging because the two things on Saturday. So H could actually be Friday. But in a traditional game where there's one thing on Saturday, it couldn't be that way. If that makes sense. But how do you feel about this one now, Thomas?
Well, I understood the question. The deductions you just made were a little quick for me, but
Okay. Yeah. So I think, like, we know, like, I guess, do you understand the FKG and the FKZ and the FMG deductions?
yes.
Yeah, well, that's why F can't be Friday, if that makes sense. Then, like, H and L, I normally say, okay, if we have H before L, I know H can't be in the last spot, and L can't be in the first spot then. That's kind of the first thing I look at. I don't necessarily do this giant diagram first. I look at, okay, I have H before M before G. I know H already can't be last, right? And now I know H can't be Friday because it also has to have G coming after it. So the earliest H would be Thursday. If that makes sense.
Yes, there are two letters after it.
Exactly. Do Sabrina, Josh, do you guys have any questions?
No.
All right, let's move on to the next one then. So the next one's gonna be, if K is on desk duty earlier in the week than M, which one of the following cannot be true? So in this case, just as a tip for you, Thomas, I would put, so if I know, say K is earlier than M, right? I would draw another quick one of these, you know? So I know I'm gonna have F, then K, then M, right? And I think that kind of helps me a little bit, if it makes sense. And then G, right? Still have Z down here. Still have H. Still have L. Does this diagram make sense to you, Thomas?
Yes.
Cool. Well, I'll give you a couple minutes then to kind of solve this one, go through the answer choices, then we'll go from there. And then Thomas, how you doing?
Feel free to go over
No,
this one. Thank you.
You're good. Do you need help or do you want to keep going through it? Either way,
No,
works
it's
for me.
okay. It's just I'm without like the actual PDF, I'm having trouble following along. So I think I'm just my head's out of this question, sort of.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah, I would say Law Hub is very helpful. It's kind of hard to do on the laptop. Do you want me to start sharing in between questions? Would that be easier?
Oh, no, it's okay. I appreciate it though. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll
No
just
problem.
download the law before next time.
Okay, sounds
or
good.
subscribe.
Sounds good. So, okay. So this one is one where I kind of diagrammed it once again, where I know if Kitson is on desk duty earlier in the week, then more, which one of the following cannot be true? So I'm looking at this one and saying, okay, I now know that K has to come before M, and also K has to come before G, right? And I know F now has to come before, F has to come before M and G, where I kind of knew that. So the only real big change here I'm noticing is that K has to come before M and G, right? So I'm going to go through the diagram and say, okay, which one of the following cannot be true? So I'm looking at cases where either G has come before K, or like, if that makes sense, I'm looking for which one cannot be true. So here I say, okay, F is on desk duty earlier in the week than L. There's no rule saying that's not true. There's no connection here, right? It doesn't necessarily, it's not cannot be true. There are situations where it could be true. Next, looking at G comes before F, or G comes before K. And we actually see that's not possible because K always has to come before G. So the correct answer in this case would be B, because K always has to come before G.
Okay, so with these type of problems, you don't actually have to write it out. It's just more on the rules.
So when they give, so my rule in these kind of problems to kind of also go to Josh's point about speeding up. When I see questions like this, they're giving me, okay, if Kitson is on desk duty earlier in the week than Moore, I know I'm changing my diagram and putting Kitson before Moore. In this case, what's different from this one to this one? Well, now I know K has to come before G. So that'll be the first one I look to, because that's the first thing I changed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's because like I always get stuck on these because like I don't do the chain, but I guess I'm gonna start to do it.
You should always do
Because
the chain.
yeah, because I try to work it out and I always got this question, like these questions wrong so many times because I'm like, well, it's not like I put D for this case because I worked it out like as on an actual diagram, and the diagram that I put, like I assumed that that's like the only way it would work. And in that diagram I put that
Hill is earlier than Kitson.
yeah.
So we can go
So I
here,
was like,
right?
okay, that's what was that?
I'm just gonna do one where this one works necessarily. So that's why it's much easier to have this chain shows what's impossible more than what's possible, if that makes sense. That's why the chain's very nice.
Okay.
So let's see. So I'm gonna draw one real quick where it's, if it's the H can come, because it's what H comes before K, right? F, K, here's just a really quick one as far as like where H can come before L, right? Or H can come before K, right?
Yeah.
So I would say using the chain would be very beneficial in this case, that scenario. Josh, do you kind of give my tip on that one?
Yeah, for 14, I just threw in the chain, and that's how I got to be.
Yeah, that's the exact way to do it.
And it will work with like every question like this then, right? Like this is the chain is always going to be the best approach to do these questions.
I'd say yes, and yeah, I'd say yes, but if you're between two answers that aren't necessarily, sometimes they won't be in the chain, that normally the LSAT doesn't want you, like LSAT does not want you to be diagramming every answer. They want you to make deductions to get that answer. So if you're diagramming every answer, chances are it's an easier way to be doing this question.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense to everybody? I think it's kind of a general tip. If you're lost in the weeds, you're never supposed to be lost there. Let's move on to, is this number 15? This one 15. So if Z is on desk duty on Thursday, which one of the following must be true? So the first thing I would do is I would put Z on Thursday and fill in around there, if that makes sense. And as soon, so another tip here to kind of speed up, as soon as I see Z is on desk duty on Thursday, right? Put Z there. I find out which things are automatically have to be placed around Z. And that makes it so quick. Instead of doing every answer, like which is one must be true, trying to see that, I put Z in there. Let me just do this one actually, just kind of show you guys how quick it could be, right? So I put Z Thursday. I then know I have to have 2 in Saturday, right? So I know G and L have to be Saturday. So now I'm going to go look at the which one of the following must be true. I'm going to say, okay, I know that G and L are on Saturday, right? So we're going to do one that like, so if I know if like I'd see A, I'd be F is on desk duty earlier in the week than L. I immediately know because L is last, that has to be the case. So A is the correct answer. Does that kind of show how quick it could be once you do these must be true? These must be true questions are a little easier in that regard.
Yeah.
Did you follow that, Thomas? I know that was a lot.
I followed the first half.
Okay.
I sort of got lost at the end.
Yeah, so if I see, so in these must be true cases, I think they're kind of easier because must be true cases questions are generally testing. Okay, put this thing in here and make deductions about what other things you could place in there. 'Cause there used to be a question type where it was like, if like how many which variables do you know places of to have the exact order of the game? This kind of replacing that question where I see that, okay, if I put Z Thursday, I then know G and L both have to be Saturday. That's the only real like firm deductions I can make at this point. They're like very easy to make instead of doing a diagram. So I'm gonna look at ones that say like must be true. Look at ones that like answer choices where G and L are in the last spot. So another option would be like L is on Saturday. That could be another option. Or G's on the last day of the week. Those are other options that could be right for this question. But like Hill is on desk duty earlier in the week than Flynn. That's not really said anything by our deductions, right? Hill is on desk earlier than Moore. Nothing about Moore. Nothing about Hill. Nothing about Zon. Nothing about K. Nothing about M. So only one that had questions about L or G. That's the first thing I look for. Was the first one. So when I see that first one's right, I move on and go quick. Josh, I don't know if you heard me say this, but really, I think like in this one, I would have just solved this answer and I would have just moved on and not double checked. Does that make sense, Josh?
Yes.
I know it's a pain. I know it's not what you're normally supposed to do in exams, but I think it's the best way.
Yeah, because we could do the same thing for 16.
Yeah, wait, Ham, let's let Rachel do that real quick. So kind of like what you learned, kind of what Josh is saying, what you learned in this one, do the next one, and we'll go from there. So go ahead and try to solve yourself. I'll solve on the screen too and make it things a little easier. So first put M on Tuesday and then figure out what has to be where, if that makes sense. Let me know when you are finished.
I'm done and I get the why the answer. I got this one wrong.
Okay.
And is it because like I know why C is the answer?
Yeah.
But when I diagrammed it, is it because like Z I put D.
Okay, let's see why you put D kind of thing. So Z is on desk duty on Friday. We don't necessarily know if that's the case. So kind of like Josh said last, right? Which we're looking at must be true question again, right? Kind of like the last one. So we know there's nothing saying that Z can't be Saturday.
Okay, so because Z is like interchangeable in that way, it's like it's not definite.
Yeah, Z could be Saturday, so it's not necessarily must be true. It's on Friday. So Thomas, were you able to look at this one or no? I know it's kind of hard with the PDF or with the picture.
No, not really.
So let's kind of go through it quick and easy. They kind of like what I did instantly. So I put Monday, I put M on Tuesday, right? If I know M's Tuesday, I know F has to come before it, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to Thomas too?
Yes.
So put F there. Well, if I know F is first, I then know L has to be on Saturday because of Rule 5. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because
So
I guess I just thought because I mean I should have looked at the I should have just looked at the answer choices. Like as soon as I saw Z on Friday, I was like, oh, that's what I put. But I also like
Yeah.
just thought because L's already there, so Z cannot be there because they'll break the rule that that L must, or yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know.
I think you just kind of rushed through it.
Yeah.
Make sure you check all the answer choices if you're not 100% sure, because Z could be here, G could be here, FM, I know we have to have KZK somewhere in here. I know, oh, I guess H could be there, H probably there. H there, and there's an easy way to do it, right? So does everybody
Mhm.
understand how we got to this one? Kind of how once they're asking for a must be true question, they're really asking, okay, put this one thing in there, put M at Tuesday, make deductions around this. And normally it's like not one string of deductions, it's normally two. So normally it's okay, if F is then Monday, what does that say about other things? That's saying L has to be Saturday. And so once we see that L has to be Saturday, that's the answer.
Okay. Yeah, I've always had trouble with these must be true because of this exact reason, because I put like the interchangeable one that is not definite. That's what always gets me. And
Right.
I always like put down like a little paragraph. I'm like, I thought this could work too, but
Yeah.
it's because it's like it's talking about like 100%.
Yep, exactly. It's all about must be true, and that could be true. So, all right, let's go to 17. So if F is on desk duty earlier in the week than Hill, which one of the following must be true? So it's another must be true question, right? And it's saying if F is earlier than Hill, right? That was saying F is earlier than Hill. Okay. So it was a little confusing to me, but basically what you want to do is draw another chain and go from there. That makes sense? So draw another chain and we can kind of go over the correct answer.
Yeah, I'm
How's
just
it
gonna
go?
need help on these.
Do you help too, Thomas?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm not really. Yeah.
For sure. So I think what this comes down to is, so we're drawing the diagram again, right? So here we see F is kind of a little weird one, right? Because there's many different things going on. Here we see F has to come before H, has to come before M, has to come before K, right? So kind of see those three different lines. So here we then know F is in the first spot, right?
Yeah.
Because H can be the first spot because F comes before it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we know F is in the first spot, the only thing we know from there is that L is in that last spot because of Rule 5. So as soon as we put L in that last spot, I'm going to look to the answer choices and see if there's anything that involves L and something coming before L, because that must be true, right?
Yeah. Oh my
As long
gosh.
as it's not G or Z, right? So as soon as I look at the answer choices, I'm saying, okay, D says M has to come before L. And we can't necessarily see that in our graph or in our diagram, right? We don't necessarily see that, okay, M has come before L necessarily, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because we know that L has to come last now, we then know that M has to come before it because it's not G or Z. The only one that could come, like if it said L is earlier than G or Z, that's not necessarily true, right?
Yeah.
But because we know it's M and one of these third line characters where something comes after them, we know that L has to become, M has to come before L. Is that a lot, Thomas, or do you get it?
I actually understood that one.
Really, it's about like not overcomplicating it, not like it's about placing those things, like for these must be true ones. I'd say it's about placing what you definitively know have to be there and looking through the answer choices. And if you don't find an answer choice you like from there, then it's moving back and kind of trying some things out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Josh,
I guess because
so-
like when I approach these, I just work it out and I look, but yeah, I need to like slow down. Like I've been having so much trouble with these because of that reason that I just like
Yeah,
work it out right away.
must be trues are dangerous because you might make one and say, oh, FGHKL or whatever works, so that must be true, which is not the case at all. So, and if you are going to try to diagram must be trues, what it comes down to is trying to find a case where it's false, right? And then you can sort of cross off it. You want to eliminate, not prove, if that makes sense. So like for this one, I would, so if it's like H is on desk duty earlier than K, let's try to find a case where K is before H, right? Because if K is before H, then we know that's not the correct answer because it's not must be true, right?
Yeah.
Josh, how'd you do on this one?
For 17, yes, I used, might not be helpful, but I used our previous graphs. And then through those graphs, M was consistently before L.
Okay, I think that's a little dangerous though. Did you only take graphs where F was first?
Well, I graphed 14, 15, and 16. And then for 15, things can move around. And so I looked at those three questions and I saw that M was before L, and then entertained the other answer choices to be sure. And then I found that 16, I mean for 17 that M is before L if F is before H.
Yeah, if F's exactly. It's only if F's before H. Because like I think it could be dangerous where like you could have one case where L is actually like L is over here, right? You have LF or HLF, one of the one of those.
Yeah.
So you have HLF. In that case, you'd have L before M, right? But
Right.
as long as you recognize that F, when F comes before H, that's kind of the thing. Is that what you did?
Yeah, so I did like
That works.
when at the end I qualified it when I said like if F is before H in those instances, then M is before L if F is before H.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Anybody have any questions on this one then? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next one. So 18. So this one's a fun one. Which one of the following, if substituted for the constraint that Flynn must be on desk duty earlier in the week, then both Kitson and Moore would have the same effect in determining the schedule for the librarians, right? So what you're trying to do in this case is trying to see which rule like most. So if you take away this rule, right? You take away this last rule. You take away that F has to come before K and M. Which rule has the same effect on the chain, right? Do we all want to do this one together, or do you want to do it separately for a minute?
I probably together for me. Yeah, I don't know how to approach it.
For sure. Thomas, do you feel the same? Okay, sounds good. Josh, do you want to do it for a second or no?
Oh, I already did it. Yeah, so but we can go ahead.
We'll go over it then. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to have the same effect on the chain, right? So here we have this chain is saying that F has to come before M and K, right? That's what this rule is saying. So what we're trying to substitute for. So we're trying to find a rule that has the same effect where F comes before K and M, right? So I do not like these substitution ones. These are the ones I skip honestly normally. And let's see how many won this diagram. This like this game set only has one of these, so most you probably see 1 to 2 in an exam. But if substituted for the constraint that Flynn must be on desk duty earlier in the week than both K and M, which one I guess has the same effect, right? So really, what does K and M, F being before K and M, do for us? Well, it also tells us that F has to come before G as well, right? So this rule also tells us that M has to come before G, and F has to come before G, and F has to come before K and Z, right? M, G, K, Z. Those are the one. This rule is kind of helping us build that chain. So here we know then that the two I looked at were both B and C, if it makes sense. Because if we look at D, we see F must be on destiny earlier in the week than both Gomez and Kissen. That doesn't say anything about more, right? So we can eliminate that one. And same with E, where it says F must be before M and Z, but it doesn't say F has to come before K, right? So we eliminate that one as well. It's not doing enough for us, right? And then A, Flynn cannot be on desk duty Thursday. It really doesn't tell us anything because it could be Friday, right? Because it could still have, if that makes sense, it could still be Friday. So it doesn't necessarily force K and M to be before it or to be after it, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to force K and M to be after F. So on this one, I see that, okay, only F and H can be on desk duty on Monday, or only H and L can be on desk duty earlier than Flynn, right? Because we already eliminated A, D, and E. So if we see that, okay, only F and H can be on desk duty Monday, what about when could F be on Thursday then? It doesn't necessarily force K and M to follow F, right? Whereas
Yeah.
C forces H and L, the only ones that can be earlier than F, which means K and M cannot be earlier than F. So that means that K and M follow F, and that also means Z and G then follow F.
Oh, okay.
I know it's complicated in a lot of words and a lot of it's challenging, but does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah,
Right.
that made a lot of more sense how you approached it. I guess because of also these, like the ones, the substituting ones, I can't, like, I see them and I don't know how to,
Yeah,
like, just the wording on its own. I'm just like, I don't even, like,
Yeah.
I didn't know how to even approach it.
Thomas, do you see that approach a little bit or no?
I mean, I understood the first half, but then
Okay, fair.
eventually kind of lost me.
Yeah, really whoever kind of approach, so these questions more about approach, they're all very different. Really, you're trying to, so I see that this rule makes for K and M have to follow F. I'm looking for another rule that forces K and M to follow F. That's really what it comes down to. And the only one in this regard that forces K and M to follow F would be C, where H and L are the only ones that could be before it. So then K and M have to follow it. It's kind of a quicker way to get there. Josh, how'd you approach it? It might help to hear somebody else's approach.
Well, that's why I drew a second chain when I first did my diagrams, entertaining the possibility if N is before F for the last rule. And so I saw the chain that I made, so I'd like edit HLF. And then similar to you, I applied that approach you did, saying, you know, what would have the same effect as F being before K and M. I saw that line, but I like your approach better because I kind of guessed it, and also I saw that C was not too restrictive or too broad,
Exactly.
just the right approach. So it was like an educated guess.
That's how mine always are for these ones, honestly. I've never been able to finish these in 35 minutes. Like these, when I see one of these, I skip it and come back to the end. And I just like, okay, which one's not saying too much, which one's not saying too little. It's always the middle ground one. So that's kind of how I approach these ones. So, all right. Any questions on this problem set at all?
No.
Any questions about games in general? Anything I can help you guys with or no? If not, we
Well,
can
I
call it
have
a
a
day.
quick
Go ahead.
question.
Fire away.
If there is a rule that says, like, for example, if P is second, if it's not second, then P is fifth. So would it also go reversed as well? So if
Wait,
P must be second if it's not fifth,
So it's saying if P is not second,
then it's fifth.
yeah, basically that's saying P has to be second or fifth. Yeah.
Okay.
If that's the direct wording, because it's saying if P is not second, then P has to be fifth. So it's saying if P can't be 3, P can't be 4, because then it's not second, but it's not fifth. So
Okay, I
it's
just
a weird
wanna
way of
clarify.
saying P must be 2 or 5.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, or are you all good? And if you're all good, I will see you all next week. Thank you for coming.